Hello, beautiful people. I am so glad you're here. Welcome to Your Spiritual Guru podcast. I'm your host and spiritual guru, Erin. I've been on my own spiritual journey for the past 2 years, and it's an honor to walk beside you as you navigate through your own. This podcast is for anyone who is wanting to do inner work, get more in tune with themselves, heal past traumas, and find their inner power. If that's you, then sit tight because this is going to get deep. You ready? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Your Spiritual Guru podcast. I apologize if y'all have been loyally following the podcast. First of all, thank you. Second of all, I apologize because there was not a podcast episode released last week. So, like I mentioned in my previous episode towards the end, I am in paramedic school right now. I have a lot of assignments, a lot of things on my plate, and at work currently, last week there was an opportunity for a pay raise with a certain certification that I could test out for, and I wasn't asked, I was told that I was going to be testing out for this certificate, and I had to study for the written test, first of all, and then I had to come up with create a PowerPoint for the skills portion of the certificate as well. So that on top of my classwork and my homework and tests and things like that for paramedic. So long story short, I just had way too much to do last week. Time got away from me. I even, the PowerPoint that I had to do for my certificate was done the night before. If that tells y'all how scattered last week was. But anyway, like I said, I am going to try my hardest to drop an episode every single week. Is it always going to happen? I'm not sure. I'm going to do my best. And if I know ahead of time that I'm not going to be able to release a podcast episode, I will try to give y'all a warning, a heads up, so you don't go on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever looking for it. So yeah, that was my little announcement tidbit before we get into this topic. I really wasn't sure going into today what I wanted to talk about. And so I'm taking a lesson from my friend Lex, who has her own podcast. I had the interview with her a few episodes back. She said, sometimes I just talk about what I'm going through or what I'm having a hard time with at that time. And for me, what I'm having a hard time with is allowing things to play out how they're supposed to, instead of trying to control things based on what I want the timeline to look like. I'm going to get into a little bit more detail about that, but just with that, I'm sure a lot of people can kind of relate to what I'm saying. What I'm having a hard time with is listening and moving forward with that knowledge instead of trying to change the narrative to fit my timeline or how I think something should go or the way I want it to be, right? And you would think someone like me who's all about, energy, the energy you put out is what you receive, and, you can't control anything, control what you can control, and you can't control other people or how they react or what they do and all of it. You would think that I wouldn't have to keep learning this lesson, but you'd be wrong. It is something that I struggle with very, very much. It's probably the one that I struggle with the most, and it's shown up in a lot of different areas in my life, but mostly it's shown up in my relationships, and it hasn't always ended. Actually, 9 times out of 10, it has not ended well, right? And so what I mean by that is I've been the type of person for a while. Even before I started, this healing journey and all of that, I've had a pretty good idea of the type of relationship that I wanted, the things that I desired from my partner, the actions, love language, all of those things. I've had a pretty good idea of how I wanted that to look. And I'm someone who falls fast and I fall hard, right? I show love by just like dumping it on people, like giving, like being, especially like my significant other. Like if you are my significant other, you are getting all the love, like up front. Like I'm just gonna be all up on you and everything. And so I have to realize that sometimes that can be overwhelming for people who are not used to being loved in that way, right? Just like I have come into relationships with baggage, people, are also coming in with their past traumas, their baggage, their trust issues, what have you. And usually where I mess up is because I already have this preconceived idea of what I want a relationship to look like, how I want it to go, the things I want done, what I desire, what I need from my partner, X, Y, and Z. I can sometimes twist the situation and manipulate it in a way to where I get what I want when the other party is not ready to give me what I want. Y'all following me? Like, say for instance, somebody says, oh, I'm not ready for a committed relationship right now. I just want to take things slow. I want to be friends. I want to kick it. I want to chill. Da da da. I'd be like, yeah. I hear you. That's cool. So, when are we going on a date? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have a problem, you guys. That's just me. I don't know if anybody else can relate, but that's one of my downfalls. I'm, instead of believing what they're saying and saying, hey, they're telling me and they're showing me with their actions, with their words, what they want and what they don't want. And I have the option to say in that moment, right? So let's rewind. This person says, I'm not ready for a relationship. I want to take things slow. I just want to be friends, whatever they say. In that moment, right? In that exact moment, I have the decision. The power is up to me. Like, I have the power in that moment to say, I want to continue this or I don't. But what ends up happening is that I will continue it knowing damn well that they just told me that they do not want what I want, right? They've made that clear. They told me they don't want what I want, but I'm going to continue anyway because I feel like, I don't know, if I love them hard enough, it'll change their mind. If I say the right thing, it'll change their mind. If I do the right thing, it'll change their mind, right? But that hardly ever happens. You guys, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like, I'm telling you now, if that's something that you do, if you are in a situation like that, it does not work. It doesn't work. I can list off so many failed relationships where that has been the narrative, that has been my go-to, that has been how I play things out, and it doesn't work. It doesn't. And so I have to get better at not having tunnel vision because, like I said, I fall easily and I fall hard, right? So if I love and care about somebody, in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, I know they said they're not ready for a relationship, but like, I also don't want to lose them. So I'm just gonna continue being in their life. And then hopefully down the line, what we want will kind of mesh together, right? But I have to be better at believing what somebody's telling me the first time, not trying to interject my emotions, my feelings, my love onto someone who's blatantly telling me they don't want it, Okay, they don't want it. But in my mind, I'm like, why wouldn't you? Like, I'm awesome. I'm great. Like, I have all this love. Why wouldn't you? You know, you say you care about me. Why wouldn't you want all of this love and all of these good things that I can offer you? Everything that I bring to the table, right? And it's not that there's anything wrong with me, right? It's not me. And see, that's another thing. I would always I would feel like it was rejection because there was something wrong with me, right? I had to be different. I had to do something different. I had to say something different, and then they would change their mind. Oh no, it had absolutely nothing to do with me. It has to do with them, right? They set that boundary. They said they didn't want to X, Y, and Z. And in that moment, I had the option, I had the opportunity to set a boundary for myself and say, okay, you said that's not what you want. I'm clear about what I want. Those two don't, match up. So deuces, you know, I have that opportunity. I had that opportunity on multiple occasions, but I chose not to. I chose not to. And it put me in a lot of bad situations. It gave me a lot of heartbreak. And I had to start at square one over and over and over again. And it took me a while, and I'm still working on it, to understand why I ended up being in the same place over and over and over again, stuck in the same situations, because I don't listen. I don't listen. Y'all, like, I'm ragging on myself. I don't listen. Okay? I'm stubborn. I want things how I want them when I want them. And because of that, I end up hurting my own feelings, right? So this episode was kind of just a look, if you're where I'm at, I feel you. I've been there, but also if you're at where I'm at, take it from someone who's been where you're at, and know that you have the power to change. You have the power to set that boundary at any time. At any time you can do this. It would be better if it was done earlier, of course. But what do I always say? Control what you can control. You can't go back, but you can start over again and again and again. You can choose to react a different way the next time. You can say, I don't want to do this anymore, and set that boundary. At any time, you can do that. It's up to you. Also, I said this shows up a lot of different ways in my life. Some of those ways have been environmental too, like with work or housing or what have you. You know, feeling like I should be further ahead than I am, or man, I really want a house, or man, if I had gone to a technical college right after high school and got my EMT, I would have been way further along in my career. I could have been, doing whatever. It's like, I can't go back and change those things, and as far as the present, as in like, okay, have y'all ever gotten into a phase of your life where it's like, you're grateful for where you're at, but you're also ready to skip ahead, like get to the next chapter, right? And that's kind of where I found myself recently. It's like, I feel very blessed to be where I'm at, but it's also like, I want to get this moving, right? But I had to stop myself because I realized that the things that I wished for and hoped for and wanted 2 years, 3 years, 5 years ago, I'm living it right now. I'm where I wanted to be 5 years ago. And I didn't know 5 years ago, when I was hoping and wishing and wanting, that I'd be here. I didn't know that I would be renting a house. I don't own it, no. but I don't have to worry about neighbors beside me, below me, above me. I don't have, like, my dog has a fully fenced backyard that he can roam and run and play in. My daughter has her own room. You know, I didn't know 5 years ago when I was working at Victoria's Secret, working 40 hours a week on my feet while I was pregnant. I didn't know then that 5 years from then I would be in the career of my dreams, getting all of these certifications. I'm an EMT, I'm a firefighter. I've gotten all these certificates. Now I'm in paramedic school. I'll be a paramedic by next year. I didn't know that was going to happen. And I didn't know how it was going to happen either. That's the thing. When we talk about wanting to control things and wanting things to be on our timeline, you couldn't have told me that how things played out these past 5 years is how it was going to play out. I didn't know that. I had a vision of how I wanted things to go, or what I pictured the next 5 years to be, but it wasn't this. It actually ended up better than I could have imagined. And that's the kicker. Sometimes if we sit back and just let things flow and just set boundaries, let things play out the way that they're meant to, 9 times out of 10, they end up better than we could have ever imagined. But we have to loosen up that grip a little bit, right? We have to allow things to unfold the way that they're supposed to, instead of trying to control what we feel like is supposed to happen when it's supposed to happen, right? So that's my tidbit for today. That's something that I'm struggling with, that I'm currently working through. And, if you're in that place in your life, or if you're dealing with something similar, just know I'm here for you. I'm going through the same thing. You can slide in my DMs. We can chat about it. I can give you advice. You can give me advice. We can go back and forth. Whatever you need. I love talking to y'all and getting feedback and having those long and in-depth conversations. So, yeah, that's what I got for y'all today. Like I said, my DMs are always open. You can go on Instagram at AIR_WREN and find me. And yeah, I hope y'all have a great week. Until we meet again, namaste.